Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to this live session. Okay, here's the deal. Are you tired? Are you tired of running your business in what seems like the great resignation? Wondering what kind of hiring pool we have. Have you found yourself frustrated because you hired somebody and to you, you felt like this was the person? I have found the right person, and the person underperformed and actually left alone would have destroyed your company culture. I think this is a fantastic thing to talk about because when I started my first business 15 years ago, I did not know how to hire. In fact, you let me know if you did this, but my hiring strategy was, I'd put out, I'd get an ad, for a medical assistant or whatever, edit it and make it mine, put it out there, have people come for the interview them. If I liked them and they were warm bodies, they got the job, right? And there's so many reasons for that. But over the last 15 years, my team and I have interviewed hundreds of people, and we have become pretty good at identifying people who will be great for the job, identifying people to avoid at all costs. And today, I'm going to show you 7 people never to hire. Okay. 7 people never to hire. It is too expensive to hire them. And the data does show that the cost of turnover in a healthcare based business like a private practice is somewhere between 50 and $75,000. Okay, it is too expensive to hire these people. What it does to your team morale and your team culture is that is just too expensive, right? And we want to avoid this at all costs. So after this call today, you're going to know who these 7 people are. When you see them at an interview or anything like that, you're like, know about you. You are the one I don't hire. Okay. And so if you're ready, just type in the chat, type in the comments. Those of you who are live, like I'm ready. If you're watching the replay, you can type that too. I will come back to all my comments. I'm just going to pull this up on my phone so I can see all of you. And there you are. Okay. Okay, great. So let's talk about these 7 people. Okay. I gave some of them names. All right. So the first, well, why don't I tell you? Some of you haven't met me, so I'll tell you who I am. Now, if we haven't met, my name is Dr. Una, and I'm a pediatrician by training. I have had my private practice for the last 15 years, so that's a decade and a half, which is a pretty long time. And this phase of my career, I'm all about helping doctors build profitable businesses, including private practices, including insurance based private practices, so they have the freedom to live life and practice medicine on their terms. I do this in a number of ways. Me showing up on this private practice channel, this is, like I'm committed to coming on every week and kind of empowering private practice owners to see that they can win, even in spite of all the things that are going on. And that's because we are in the middle of a movement. It's the profitable private practice movement. We are the people who decided to defy the status quo. We're like, we are going to win. We are going to win in private practice, even with all the things that are going on. Okay. So I do that through this channel, coming up to you live. I do that through this book. It's called The Profitable Private Practice Playbook. If you do not have this book, this is like mandatory reading for physician private practice owners. And if you have an office manager or practice manager, you want to get them a copy as well. And I also lead the Profitable Private Practice Movement, which is a membership. Doctors come every Thursday at 12 noon to work on their practices, not in their practices, but on their practices. And the results they're creating in their practices are nothing short of amazing. Okay. So that's entremd.com/movement. You can come join us. It is, the investment is less than a cappuccino a day. So it's, everybody can be in it. It's built for everybody. Okay. All right. So let's talk about these 7 people. All right. Now, the first person to avoid, to never hire, is called the job hopper. Okay? The job hopper. How do you identify this person? You look at somebody's resume, and this person has had 4 jobs in the last 2 years. They've had 6 jobs in the last 5 years, and all of that stuff. And it's not, there's no career progression, right? Like, so if somebody was like a medical assistant, for instance, and then, 6 months later went to another job, but they were a manager and they, like and stuff like that, you can say, okay, maybe they were moving because they were also moving upwards. I can take that. I can understand that. But when you have someone who is like this lateral role for the most part, and they've had so many jobs, that is an indicator. That's an indication of a number of things. It could be that they're poor performers, and so they just keep getting fired. It could be that they would leave for anything, right? Like, and we've met people like I've hired all these people. Okay, so you meet somebody and they're just having a bad day and they just stop coming to work, right? Or it could be that is a person who will move from job to job for a dollar difference. Like it's $1. Oh, they offer me $1 there. I'm out. Right. But either way, you don't want somebody like that. Right. And don't think that this person has been in 6 jobs in the last 4 years, but I'm very unique. She's going to come here or he's going to come here and stay for 10 years. Like that's deception. Right. History is a pretty good predictor of the future. Right. And am I saying there's nobody who's done that? Yeah, but it's like saying, I saw somebody drive without a seatbelt and they were okay. Right, right. Like we live based off of principles, not what ifs. And so the job hopper is a person to avoid. A job hopper is like, yep, we're not hiring the job hopper. Okay. Why? Because when they come to your practice, they're going to hop too. So think about it. Who wants to go through the entire process of hiring somebody only to have that person stay for 6 months and they're done and they're gone? We want to build a stable team where most of our people are staying longer. They're giving us years. Okay. So that's the first person I want to hire. It takes too much time to train, to onboard, to get them into the team culture and all of that stuff for them to just leave after 6 months. I do not hire job hoppers. Okay. I do not hire job hoppers. If you got it, type I got it in the chat. Okay. If you got it, type I got it in the chat. Okay. The second person I won't hire, and remember I said I've hired all these people. The second person not to hire is the oversharer. Okay. This is something that I always look for, and I'll explain what this means. In the one interview they've had with you, they've complained about their former boss, they've complained about their former teammates, they've complained about their former patients. Now, can somebody have a complaint against their boss, their team members, and their patients? Yes. But this is a lot of sharing. This is a lot of sharing. They don't know you. And if they're gonna bring that much of a complaint and try to put their past job in such a bad light in the middle, in the first few minutes of a 30-minute interview or 1 hour interview, guess what they're going to do with you? The exact same thing, right? Chances are this person is a complainer. Chances are this is a person who does not take responsibility. Chances are that's just the way they are. That is a toxic way of thinking, right? It's a toxic way of thinking. It's a toxic way of speaking. What is that going to do for your culture? Because if they're going to come up to you and tell you about all the things they didn't like about their old place on a first interview, guess what they're going to do in your practice when you hire them? They're going to say, oh, you guys tolerate this here? Like like I'm not about this. In the other place where I work, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. The complaining goes on. They don't stop. And if you've hired, and let me know if you've hired this person, let me know in the chat. If you've hired one person who the damage they did to your culture, there are 5 people who were doing things right and they couldn't reverse it. It only takes one really negative person. So when I interview someone and they start telling me about how they were, mistreated at their old job and all the things and how they were victimized and all of those things, I don't hire them. That's a complainer. I don't hire them. Okay, so that's the second person I wouldn't hire. All right. Who's the third person I wouldn't hire? Okay, and this one is a little weird, but you want to watch out for it. There's the money first candidate. Money first, money first, money first. Now, am I saying that to say we shouldn't pay our team members? Like, of course we should pay them, and of course we should pay them well. But at the same time, if the person is leading with what they will get, then that's a red flag for me. Okay. So how does that look? That looks like somebody coming for an interview and the only thing they want to know is, on the phone or whatever, the introductory call, whatever that is, the only thing they want to know is what is the salary, what are the benefits, what's the time off? That's all they want to know. All right. It's an indicator. Now, the reason why this is very challenging is because when somebody's first and primary motive is how much I make, how benefits, time off, and they're not asking you, they don't care about the mission of the practice, they don't care about the whole package, they don't care about any of that, is you are not the best paying person in the world. It means you're like at an auction. So if they're working for you and you pay them 60 grand a year and they find somebody who will pay them 62 grand, they're gone. Like they're gone. And you can't guarantee that you will pay the highest number. Like you can't, because anybody can come from anywhere and offer anything. Right. And so if the person, if that's the only thing, it's almost impossible to retain that person. Right. I've had this come up a lot when I've hired, and I'd say, do you have any questions and all that stuff. And I've had people, and the only questions they'd ask me about is work-life balance. Like they're like, well, I really want to know, about, when I would have time off. And if, so maybe this is a physician or so, when I would have time off, and, like what kind of flexibility there is, like in the middle of the day, if I just need to leave. I want to know, I want to know, what kind of support I would have with the work that I'm going to do. If I have a patient that's like a difficult patient, can I block the whole hour? And all of those kind of things. Now, are those all things that people should ask about? Of course. But if those are the only things you ask about, then that's a different challenge, right? So I've had people do that, and they're like, and I'm not going to do call, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do that. And so what they were leading with is, I want a job that's cush and comfy, right? Like completely cush and comfy. Which, do I want you to have that? Yes. So for instance, in my private practice, when I hire doctors, one of the things I do is, for instance, I show them how to get all their notes done at work, so that when they shut down their computer, they should, I want them to forget about my practice till they come the next day. And so they will ask me for like remote access and stuff. I'm like, no, I don't like, and of course, if someone insists on it, I give it to them, right? But I'm like, how about I show you a better way? How about I show you how to finish all your work at work, so when you go home, you can be at home. You don't have to be, you don't have to think about this place at all. So I want them to have work life balance, right? Like I show them how to do all of these things. But when you have somebody who is leading with, I just want nice and cush, and that's all, that's a red flag. Because I don't know about you, but I've hired people who did not want to work. Like did not want to work. It was a one-sided relationship. So give me all the stuff I want, then I'm going to do the work I want. And it doesn't work that way, right? When you have a relationship where two people are in a relationship and one person is winning and one person is quote unquote losing or not winning, is called a parasitic relationship. And you don't want to create parasitic relationships when you hire. You want to have people, you want to have both parties winning. So, what is a win for the business, for the private practice? Well, we have objectives that we need to hit, whether that is patient volume, that whatever that is. And then what is the win for, for the doctor or for the team member? It's whatever they get paid, it's the culture they get to work in, is the autonomy, is the lack of burnout, it's all of those things. So both parties need to win. And so when you see somebody who has positioned themselves that they want to win and they don't care about the practice winning, that is somebody to avoid. That is somebody to avoid. And I look for it and I screen for it. And if I see it, I'm not hiring the person, because been there, done that. I have 72,000 t-shirts, and I can tell you, you don't want to do that. Okay. Okay. So that's the person. The reason why, again, the reason why this is dangerous, they get a better offer, they're out. They're out. They will leave so quick you won't even believe it, right? Okay. All right. Now, let's talk about number 4. So we've talked about the job hopper, we've talked about the oversharer, we've talked about the money first candidate, okay? And so number 4. Now, number 4, you want to avoid like the plague. Number 4, no matter what their credentials look like, you want to avoid them, okay? And number 4 is the drama queen or the drama king, right? So this is the person who brings, now remember, at the interview, this is their best foot forward. At the interview, this is their best foot forward. They're showing you what they have. When you come for an interview and the candidate is telling you in a first interview, when I say first interview, is first interview with you. So for instance, when I do interviews, the person would have gone through two interviews before I interview them. That's typically the way we work. But this is their one interview with me. And they come in and they're telling me about personal drama, like personal problems in the interview. That is their best foot forward. That will never stop, right? So when you have the interview, when they come for the interview and they're like, I really need this job because of X. And X could be anything, right? Excuse me. I really need this job, because I'm having this issue in my family and all of this stuff. And they start telling you about the car that broke down, or they start telling you about someone who betrayed them, and all of this stuff happened. When you see that person, and again, let me know in the chat, right? Let me know in the chat if you have met this person, if you've interviewed somebody who came with their personal problems, right? They came with their personal problems to the interview. When you see that person, avoid them, right? Because if they brought it to the interview, they will bring it to work. And they bring it to work, they expect understanding. And so they're going to underperform. Been there, done that, have a whole lot of t shirts. Okay. So I had somebody who, like I said, I've done this, right? So I had somebody who came and they're like, oh, they really need to move and they need this job because of XYZ and all this stuff going on in their family and all of that stuff. Um, and they talked about all of that. And I'm like, and I had taught my people this whole concept of being on stage and being off stage, right? And so when you're on stage, which is you're working, you're seeing the patients, you're doing all of that, your job is to do what you need to do. And then when you're off stage, if we need to talk through stuff and whatever, you can do that. But this person, when they're supposed to be on stage and they're like, oh, yeah, I can't really function that well because this is what happened with my family this morning. And this is what happened yesterday. And this is how it's making me feel and all of that stuff. I saw that at the interview, but I had not watched this video you're watching. So I didn't know. I didn't think that I would have to deal with this every single day. This person brought their personal problems to work every day, and they would underperform and they would have the longest wait times and all of these things are going on, and they expected full understanding, like, we can't really fault her because these are all the things that are going on in her family. Now, does that mean we're not caring people? Of course we're caring people, but we do have a business to run. We do have patients to see. We do have outcomes to hit. Like, that's why we're here. And so if you cannot serve the patient, like if you can't do that, then what are we doing here? So when you see people who are drama queens and drama kings, don't assume that they're going to get over it. Don't assume that they brought it to the interview but they wouldn't bring it to work. The time they would have been least comfortable with you would have been in the interview, right? Because then maybe that was their first time of meeting you, all of these things. They didn't know if they would get the job. There's all this pressure and all those things. They were least comfortable with you. And in their least comfortable mode, they were able to bring all their personal stuff to you. It's never going to stop. And so if you decide, I don't want that, then don't hire them. Okay. Okay. Number five. Number five. Number five. Number five. Okay. So this one, I didn't know. I didn't know. I hired these people. Okay. You don't want to hire these people. Now, let me backtrack a little bit. Okay. If you are running a private practice and you are in your growth phase, like you're still trying to grow, and growth phase doesn't mean you're at 500,000 or whatever, like wherever you are, you could be 10 million, but you're still growing, you're still innovating, you're still pivoting, you're in that mode, right? Never hire this person. Okay. The person I'm about to tell you about, never hire them. And in the interview, you will hear it. I'll tell you how to find it. This person is the retiree. Okay. You say, wait, Dr. Una, but I'm hiring this person. Yes, but you're their retirement plan. Okay. You're their retirement plan. So they say things like this. And I've had people say this to me at interviews. They say, like, I'm looking forward to this job because, I'm at this phase in my life. I just want to be closer to family and I want to have time for my grandkids. Is this a bad thing? It's not a bad thing. But what they're telling you is, I'm retiring and I want to come retire in your company. And so if you don't want them to retire in your company, don't hire them because you're looking for the push, being proactive, all of these things because you're a growing company. They're not trying to do that. They're trying to move back home and stay with their grandbabies. So the work they have to do for you will be nothing but a distraction. Right? In my career, I've been all about, pushing and getting things done and all of that stuff. And I'm just in a season where I just want to be in the moment. Is there anything wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. But what they're telling you is, I want to retire. I want to retire, still get a paycheck. So I'm looking for a job in your practice. When you meet those people, do not hire them. Dr. Una is taking one for the team. There's no need for you to take one for the team either, like to take one for the team as well. I already did that. Okay. So I call them the retiree. They want to retire. They don't want to do as much work, but they still want to have a job. And so they're looking for a job with you. So when someone tells you, oh, I just want to slow down and things like that, if you're trying to grow, you're not the place where someone should be coming to slow down because you're not slowing down. Right. Okay. So let's not create a mismatch there. Okay. All right. Let me know in the chat how we're doing. Let me know in the chat how we're doing. So we've looked at a number of people. We've looked at the job hopper. Do not hire this person. They're going to hop from your place as well. The oversharer. Do not hire. They're going to overshare the entire time. Number 3, the money first candidate. Do not hire them. Do not hire them because you don't have what it takes to keep them. You just don't. Number 4, the drama queen and drama king. The drama never ends. It's every day of drama. If you don't want the drama, don't hire them. Number 5, the retiree. This person is not looking to grow. They're not looking to push. They're not looking to bring all of themselves to work. They want to hang with the grandbabies. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for people who would help us accomplish the goals we're trying to accomplish in our practices. Okay. Okay. Now, I'm gonna flip for a little bit. I have 2 more to give you, and these are my favorite 2. These are do not hires of do not hires. Okay, but one of the things, people will talk to me a lot about their teams, and the more established practices are, the more their biggest challenge is team. Okay, so I work with a group of docs. They're running practices, doing 7 figures and above, and stuff like that. And what do we spend 80% of our time working on? Team, right? Because team is the thing. So recently in the profitable private practice movement, I did a training actually last week, 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I did a training, and that training was on how to run profitable team meetings. Because when you look at a team and you're like, my team sucks, if your team is stressing you out, the first place to look for the solution is not your team, it's you. You know, the better you are at leading, the better your team will perform. And I don't say that it's not an accusation. It's actually a good thing. It means you're in control and you can fix it, right? And so the better your leadership, the better results your team will be able to create. And so I show them this profitable team meeting structure. It's a template. So now you can have your team meetings and you can have them with confidence and you can have them with a structure that allows your team perform at the highest level. Okay. It is things like this that we do in the profitable private practice movement. We've done that. We've done the 7-figure marketing blueprint. We've done how to build a 7-figure referral base and things just like that. Okay. So if you are in private practice, you're a physician in private practice, please understand that this was built specifically for you. Okay. It was built specifically for you. And it is the thing you need to start getting the strategies you need to fill up your schedule, to get your team to perform at the highest level, to get paid for the work that you do, and all of that. So, entremd.com/movement. Come join us if you're not a part of it already. But it is a place that will just turn your private practice around. And so when you hire the right people, you know how to lead them. You know how to build culture with them. You understand how to help them, how to empower them to get results, because that's the whole point of having a team. For every team member you hire, you should have less stress, you should have more time, and you should have exponentially more impact, because now you're working through people. So if you have a team and your team is more stressed than return on investment, there's something missing. And in the profitable private practice movements, we show you what that is. Okay. So entremd.com/movements. Come join us. If you're watching this live, very next session is tomorrow. We show up every Thursday working on our businesses. Okay. All right. 7 kinds of people not to hire. Number 6. Okay. Number 6 is a non-negotiable, except there's a little except. I'll tell you what that is. Okay. Is a little except. And that's the ghost. Okay. Let me know if you've interviewed a ghost. This is what that means. You did the ad, the people decide they were going to do the interview, you guys choose an interview date, and they don't show up. And for me, I take it a little further, or they show up late. Because if someone comes late to an interview, again, is their best foot forward. If they can't come early for the interview, they're not going to come early to work. If they tell you the reason I didn't make it early for this interview is because of traffic, they're going to give you that excuse every single time at work. They're going to give you the same excuse. It's not going to go away. This is their best foot forward. It's their best foot forward. So they come late or they no show. I don't hire them. I don't give them an opportunity for a second interview. I'm done. Because if this is your best, I don't want the rest. Like, I don't want it. I don't want it. Right. And some may think, oh my goodness, that's a little harsh. Man, I've been at this for 15 years. You can tell patterns, right? You can tell patterns. Okay. So what is the but? The but is if it's an error on our part, right? Like I was just talking to my team, and they're like, we put up a calendar. These are the times we're available for interviews and stuff like that. And not a calendar, but we told them these were the times. And and my practice administrator was saying, oh, I sent this person an email on Sunday to say, okay, you can come Monday at such and such a time. But the person no showed for the interview. And then she went on to say, but that's more a me issue, right? Because I responded on a Sunday and gave her time for a Monday. So that's not quite her fault. That's us, right? So if there was miscommunication on our part and stuff like that, or something really out of the ordinary. But if it was just, there was traffic, I couldn't find the place, all of that stuff, I don't, because it tells me maybe you're somebody who comes late. It tells me maybe you're somebody who can't problem solve. It tells me a lot of things. It tells me a lot of things that are not good for me. Okay. And so if the ghost goes, I just like, ooh, that's a ghost, right? Like, and that's it. I don't believe they're not a ghost, right? I don't believe they're not a ghost. Okay. Number 7. Now, number 7, avoiding this, I don't, avoiding this will save you so much money, so much time, and free you so much stress. You cannot hire this person. Okay, the person I'm about to tell you about now, you cannot hire this person. This is too expensive. And the higher the role, like, so if you're thinking like a practice administrator, or you're thinking another physician or stuff like that, not so much physician, maybe practice administrator, you want to avoid this person with everything you have. And that's the big talker. Now, I'm going to explain what I mean by that. I don't mean someone who talks a lot. The big talker is somebody who talks a big game, but there's no evidence they can do what they said they can do. And when you try to probe, they're like slippery. Like, so they didn't, there's no evidence. Okay, let me give you examples. When there was a medical assistant that we interviewed. Actually, we were interviewing her for an assistant office manager position. We were not interviewing her for an MA position. And, like I said, I'm the third interview. So my team had already interviewed her, and we don't compare notes to afterwards. So everybody kind of has their own original, authentic opinion of the person. And so I interviewed this lady, and when I interview, I'm looking for evidence, and I want to invite everyone to do the same thing. I'm looking for evidence that you can do what you say you can do, right? And so I'm like, okay, if you're the office manager, these are the outcomes we will hold you for responsible for. These are the metrics. And so I start asking like scenario based questions, right? Like you come in. So one of the objectives is this is the way we want our schedule to look as far as number of patients per doc per day. And I'm like, okay, so you come in and you look at the schedule a day, 2 days from now, and you notice that we're about 10 short or 12 short. What do you do? And she starts talking about, well, if it's short, then that means we need to be, aggressive about filling it up. And because we need to have the numbers in order to hit the revenue, in order to make payroll and all this stuff. And she's talking, 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 talking. I'm like, you haven't said anything. Right. And so I bring her back. I'm like, okay, great. I hear you say that we need to be aggressive. What would you aggressively do? And then she goes all over. She's all philosophical and talks about all the things. And absolutely, because I have the confidence that I can feel it. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, then let's move to the next thing. And I start talking to her about AR and all of that stuff. And so she's just having these big, and I know I can do it, and this and that, because I'm very competent. If there's anything I don't know, I'm willing to learn it and all. She's a big talker. And she did that the entire interview. I have never met anybody like that in my entire life. And I was like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever experienced. Okay. Now, then I get with my practice administrator. I'm like, so what's the deal with this person? And she's like, she she, she just exudes this confidence that she can do what it seems clear that she can't do. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm not crazy. Right. Now, first of all, this means that when you're interviewing, you also can't take surface stuff. Like whatever it is that you want this person to be able to do, you want to ask questions to see if they can even recognize the problem, how they would diagnose it, how they'd respond to it, and all of those things. Because anybody can tell you, I can do all of these things. You got to know how to probe. Okay. So, anyway, so no evidence whatsoever. And this is with any position, right? When you see that person, believe them. My practice administrator, we worked together for, I mean, almost 7 years at this point, right? Almost 7 years. And when we interviewed her, there was another person who was being interviewed. He was a big talker. I would do this, I would do that, and these are the real outcomes. And the work that I've done, I've worked with this surgeon, that surgeon, and I know what I'm doing, and all this stuff, and all this stuff. And when I'd ask him the question, like, how would you do this? And I worked with that person. These are the results. This is what I did with his revenue. This is what I did. That he was a big talker. He a big talker. And one of the things I'm so grateful for is I am so grateful that I passed on him and I hired the practice administrator I have now because she's done a phenomenal job. Phenomenal job. And I mean, like, such a joy to work with. I could have ended up with a big talker. Big talker. So the big talker you want to avoid with everything you've got. Okay. Now, in the chat, let me know if you are going to apply these things because this is what will make Dr. Una super happy. And this is what will make your business super happy because every person who is a red flag candidate who you hire will cost you so much pain. And everyone you hire who is a great hire will elevate your practice in ways you cannot imagine. Ways you cannot imagine. Okay? So in the comments, let's do a commitment. And what is the commitment? I'm going to do this. I'm going to stop hiring these kind of people. I'm going to stop hiring them. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. Put that in the chat. Okay? This is what will make the biggest difference. Okay? Now, you may be saying, "Oh, Dr. Una, but I hired these people already." Okay. I hired these people already. So I want to start off. There are two videos I'm going to recommend for you. Okay. The first one is how to 4 steps to rebuild your confidence after you've hired the wrong people. Okay, because sometimes it makes it seem like, I didn't do a good job, I don't do a good job, I don't know how to hire, all of that. It's not true. I mean, like, you're a whole physician, you learn so many things, you can learn this too. Okay, so how to rebuild your confidence after a bad hire, and after that is how to build a winning culture and keep top talent. Okay, how to build a winning culture and keep top talent. You may feel like I'm way out of my league with this team thing, but you have learned how to run codes, you have learned how to operate on people, you have learned how to do all of these things. And as I always say, for fun, you learn the Krebs cycle. And if you can learn this too. Okay. You can be really great at spotting bad hires. You can be really great at bringing on the great team members. You can be really great at building great company culture. And this is the truth. My involvement in my private practice is a 1 hour meeting with my practice administrator once a week. Why? Because of team. If you want to run a private practice where you have your time, you have financial freedom, you're able to impact a lot of people, you must master building a team. It is a non negotiable. It is a non negotiable. If you find yourself burnt out, chances are it's a team issue. If you find yourself with the loss of autonomy, chances are it's a team issue. If you find yourself where you have these goals and dreams and stuff and you can't pull them off, chances are it's a team issue. Chances are. Okay. So, this is one of the most important things for you to learn as a CEO. When I was starting my private practice, I didn't know anything about anything. Like, the profitable private practice movement did not exist. Okay, the profitable private practice book did not exist. I was googling all this stuff, and I saw somebody type this up and say that the job of a CEO is to hire and fire. I'm like, you must be nuts. The job of a CEO is not to hire and fire. It's to do this. It's to look at financial projections. It's to do all of that stuff. Then I became an entrepreneur, and I've been an entrepreneur for about a decade. And I came to the conclusion that the job of a CEO is to hire and fire. Right? One of your most important jobs, your top job as a CEO. Like, yes, you're going to do vision, all this stuff, but is hiring and firing, is building the team that builds the business, is building the team that builds the practice. Okay, so I want you to lean all in on these things. Go watch those two videos I told you about and start applying them to your private practice, and you'll be shocked at the version of your practice you'll get. As always, I'm rooting for you. Come join us in the Profitable Private Practice Movement on trendy.com// movement. And let's defy the status quo and build practices that help a lot of people while creating financial freedom for us and giving us our time back. Every physician deserves that. And we're here